So I've been working on these videos and it seems like you guys have been really liking them so far. It's up to you to decide whether or not that was sarcasm, but I think this is doing pretty good for my channel. I would like to do some other content that's not just devlogs, but I'm trying to think of more ideas that aren't just 3 minutes long. I wanted to make a video on how much money I've made from color fracture, but after I wrote the script, said everything, recorded everything, it came out to be about 3 minutes. I jam-packed a lot of information in that video, but it just wasn't enough. But anyway, I'll stop monologuing and get to the video. So today I did quite a few things. The first thing I did was that I created a laser pointer. So here it kind of just increases your accuracy by telling you where you're pointing at. I'd say this tool is best used for the pistol, and that's kind of it. I plan on adding a gun that can penetrate enemies, not in the way that you're thinking, but actually goes through. So that gun will be helpful with an increased accuracy boost. Another change that I did was that I made it so you can't see the text of enemies unless they are in range of a light source. This was a pain in the butt to implement, but it works great, and it makes it so you don't always know where all the enemies are. I'm actually still very impressed with myself for figuring out how to do this. You can see a little red line if they're in range, but if they're not, it goes away. So that kind of adds to the whole feeling that you get from playing this game, even though it's not really that scary. So even if I'm out of range, you can see that the light on the walls is showing the text on the enemy. It's awesome because it takes in account of all light sources and not just the players. This includes bullets, so if a yellow enemy is shooting bullets at you, it will show its tag for a brief period of time. So another thing that I did was, so if you have the torch equipped, then anything in your range gets lit up and shows the name tags. It's nice because now you can't really cheat and see exactly where they are, even if it's pitch black in the room. I think this is a great addition to the overall game design and the funness of it. So another thing that I realized is that if you enter a room that has torches, it is immediately bright. When you walk in the room, the lights turn on and it's just immediately in your face, which is fine, but I feel like it could definitely be a little bit more fine-tuned. You can see how it fades in and it just slowly makes it look bright rather than completely just blinding you, the player. It gives the game just that itty-bitty little level of polish that no one really notices unless someone points it out. On this day, I updated the menu just a little bit. Not much. You can see I changed the font. Everything looks a little bit more official and less just basic Unity font text. I also added a few settings options, not very many, just music and haptics, but if you toggle music off, then it turns the music off and it saves to your device so you don't have to always turn it off. I also have haptics as a toggle, but that hasn't been created yet. Luckily, I didn't have to do much here because I just kind of yoinked it from my previous project, Color Fracture. Check out RGS merch on redbubble.com, link in the description. Although other than that, there wasn't really too much that I've done. I also made my second devlog this day. During the time that it was rendering, that's when I updated all the fonts. There wasn't too much that I did this day because I spent all day making the video. As I mentioned in the last devlog, I take a break from developing just to work on the videos. The About button still doesn't do anything, but I'll get it eventually. I also added the laser pointer to the loot pool. Super easy stuff, nothing too crazy or complex. So I did something fairly neat today, I'd say. Here, let me show you. Oh, I still love that fade in. But if you take a look at the green slime, you see his little animation, and he doesn't move unless he's hopping. Sadly, I don't think Affinity Designer has animation built in, so I had to create each frame by hand. I'll show you what that looks like here in a second, but I also did the yellow slime as well. He now has a little spitting animation, I guess, or shooting, I don't know, whatever you'd want to call it. At least it wasn't too difficult to make a move while they were jumping. I thought that was going to be a bigger challenge than it actually was. These are the only two enemies that I actually got animated. I plan on doing the blue and the red slime eventually, but I want it to be unique, and it's hard to think about how I would do each slime individually unique. Let me show you the sprite maps for the current enemies. So luckily I didn't have to animate these all by hand. I just kind of copied and pasted it and just warped it a little bit, moved the eyeballs down. Some of them look really goofy. I love this frame in particular, but I had a blast making them. Let me show you the yellow slime animation. This one wasn't as fun, but I still tried to make it have its own personality. Make it so the hat bounced when it shot the bullet at you. And that was a fun little challenge. But that's it for this day. So here's a little time lapse of me making a health orb. I realized that the player's health goes down really quickly if you're not careful. I wanted a way where you could recover some of that, but I didn't want it to be overpowered to where you could just always heal and never die. My first thought was to make it so it dropped from enemies, but I didn't think that fit completely. It would work, no doubt, but it's not what I wanted. So I tried to make it so it drops from jars. At the moment, I'm currently trying to make it so it flies toward the player. Now this was kind of a pain in the butt. I had to do some Google searching. This took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. I thought I could just lerp the value and it would work immediately, but that did not work. It either was just either too fast or too slow, and I couldn't figure out how to fix that. I also wanted it to shrink the closer it got to the player, and so you can imagine how fun that was. It would just go crazy. It would just get bigger, and then it would get smaller, and I wouldn't know what to do. Now, I also wanted more than just health. Like I mentioned before, I wanted a coin system to where you can buy a randomizer and maybe add a random weapon to your loot pool. So I knew off the bat I wanted health and coins as pick-upable items. But then I remembered that getting XP is actually quite bland in the game. Experience was handed to you more of like a World of Warcraft style, and I felt like it needed to be more of a Minecraft style. My plan was to make it so enemies dropped experience and it would fly toward you and you'd pick it up. This would just increase the overall game feel, like it would just feel good to play. Because instead of an invisible number, or I guess a number that you can see it and you can see yourself getting it. It also does a little vibrate on your phone, which feels amazing. So right now I'm going to start adding particle effects. I create both the experience orb and the coin off screen here. My biggest worry is that the player is going to see a red light flying toward them and they're going to freak out, thinking it's a bullet. I'm trying to debate if I want to change the color to green so it signifies that it's good. I might actually do that today as I'm creating this video. But right now I know I want the particles to show little healthy boys. It took me a while to understand it, but I seriously think that Unity's particle system is one of the best components in Unity. I've been using Unity for about 2 years, maybe almost 3, and I just started learning how to use particle effects when I made Color Fracture. So what I'm doing right now is I'm making it so when you break a pot, it drops the object. Let me show you the final product. If you watch closely, the pots drop coins. Another coin. We love coins. They also drop health orbs, and I'll show you in slow motion what that looks like. But yeah, that's pretty neat. But yeah, the coins look pretty cool because I add a little sparkle effect to them. And the last thing is the experience orbs. I'll kill one of these guys. And they just look good. It looks really good. So now you have to go collect it. And it is just better than it was because it feels better. But that's about all I've done. At least in this week. I know next week I take on the biggest challenge of my life. I truly think that what I do next is the dumbest decision I've ever made in my entire life, and I cannot go back. But you'll just have to wait till next week to see it. I'm trying to make these videos interesting, and I cannot figure out how to crack the code. But anyway, with that, thank you guys a lot for watching. I encourage you guys to like this video and visit my channel and subscribe. Be sure to hit that bell, because if you don't, you might not realize that I release a new video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week.